everyone should be changed. You know, it shouldn't just be like another like Bible study or another like youth group or another like Wednesday night church service that you guys go to. You know, eat pizza, which is good, it's fun, and then like walk out and not really feeling different. I want that to be like kind of what's on your mind before I say anything. It's like actually believing like Jesus can change your life today. And so, yeah, I told you guys a little bit about my story and like how I knew Jesus, but before that, I struggled a lot with insecurity. When I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old is when I started really battling with insecurity. I started wearing makeup and I was like so afraid of like what everyone else thought about me. I would walk into a room immediately just like think about like what everyone else was thinking about me. And at some point when I was about 11 years old is when I really started battling with suicidal thoughts. And that's like a little bit of a heavier topic, but like I just want to bring that to you guys because like you guys are the same age that I was when all this was going on. A lot of you guys are actually older, you know, and I feel like a lot of times like if you go into a youth group or something, people would just kind of like talk to you like you guys are kids, but like that's not really the case. You know, like you guys actually feel like real emotions, and like that's what I was going through. Like at the same time, like I was literally younger than you guys. But there was one point where like I just felt like my mind was like just being consumed with suicidal thoughts. Like I just felt like I couldn't escape it. And it was that night, like in my bedroom, like I heard like an audible voice like speaking to me and saying like, Natalie, this isn't who you are. And that was my first encounter with God. And so all of a sudden, like everything that I knew from the past, just like hearing about Christian culture, just like hearing about Bible studies and that kind of stuff, like it actually became real to me. It wasn't just like hearing like Jesus loves you, it was like actually like Jesus loves me. And he knows what I'm going through and he actually cares enough like to step into the middle of my problems. And so after that, I was like, okay, I understand like Jesus, like he is so much bigger than just like what I heard growing up. But like if I'm being honest with you guys, like I would love to say like, oh, like I encountered Jesus and then like my life was changed forever and like I was just perfect after that and like, you know, everything changed. But for me, like I knew God was real, but for several years I had no idea how to follow Jesus. And so I kind of lived like half in and half out, like knowing God was real, being like bold, like telling people like, oh yeah, I believe in Jesus, but like not knowing how to follow him. You know, I'd go to church and then like, you know, maybe like I might cry like during a worship song or something. But then like I'd go back to church and like I'd still be like gossiping with all my friends and I would still be like messing around with guys and getting in trouble and all that kind of stuff just because I didn't know how to actually walk it out. And then that changed for me when I was about 15 years old. A couple like came up to me like on the streets and like started talking to me about Jesus. And I was like so confused because I was like why are you guys telling me about Jesus? Like I know I'm a Christian, but I had never like heard anybody like share their faith before. And it kind of blew my mind because I was like what do you mean? Like what is it different that you believe that I don't believe? You know, like why are you sharing about your faith and not just like doing what everyone else does? And then I started like just talking to them, asking questions, and they like expressed to me that they actually believe that you can live a life like the Bible. Yeah. You know, like they were like talking about, oh, like they go out on the streets and like, you know, they tell people the gospel and then they baptize people that want to give their lives to Jesus. And then if someone is sick, like they'll pray for them and see them healed. And that was like what do you even mean? That was so like otherworldly compared to anything else I'd ever seen in church before or anything I'd ever seen like in my life of following Jesus before. Like I had no idea what that looked like. And so it was about that time I was convinced like, okay, I really need to step into this. Like I don't just need to like know Jesus is real in my head, but like I need to actually learn how to follow him. And so when I was 15, I started doing that. But I still kind of had this pressure, like I've messed up so many times already. I kind of feel like now I need to be perfect or I'm not good enough. You know, like I need to almost make my way back to Jesus after like, you know, I had done so many things wrong before that. And so it was like all of a sudden like I'm living a life like Jesus and I'm super bold about it. I'm in high school now and like if someone asks me about Jesus, like I'll share everything with them. But at the same time, like just like before I even knew anything about God, like I was so consumed with what people thought about me. Like before I met Jesus story was I was so aware of what everyone else was thinking. I was like insecure about everything that I did, like everything that I looked at, everything like people thought about me was just like what consumed my mind. And all of a sudden, like a couple years later, like I've had this encounter with God, like I'm following Jesus, like I'm not swearing, I'm like dressed modestly, like I am like living like completely different from all my friends. But still in the same thing that's happening in my mind is I'm still so concerned about what other people think about me. Like half of what I'm doing is just because I want people to think highly of me, or I want people to think that I'm a good follower of Jesus, instead of actually being one. And that was something that like really like followed me like 3 years. And I was totally okay like with living the rest of my life like that. But Jesus stepped into the middle of my life and like changed everything for me in the middle of it. Even like when I didn't even think I needed healing from anything, when I thought I was totally good, like he actually stepped in and was like, Natalie, like I actually want to see you healed, and I don't want to keep seeing you like walk in this path. And so that's probably the point when I understood the gospel like with my whole heart. And all of a sudden it wasn't just like I'm doing good things, but it was like I understand like why I want to. You know, like I understood like the grace of God isn't just this thing that like you joke around with. Like Jesus will chase after us even if we're not even trying to follow him. Like even if we're in the middle of like all of our mistakes and like trying to do it on our own, like Jesus chases after us. You know, like all of the mistakes that we have, like they're not too big for Jesus. You know, and like so the whole reason like I'm telling you guys my story right now and like anything, like that whole like long thing I told you guys about my life, is that I want you guys to understand like the reason I'm standing here right now isn't based off of anything that I did. And it's not based off me being good enough or me being capable of like trying to look more like Jesus. Like it has nothing to do with my capabilities. I actually want you guys to understand that for a long time I got everything wrong over and over and over again. And even as I was professing to be a Christian, I was still walking in the wrong way. Even after I was bold about my faith and like telling other people about Jesus, like I still was like being eaten alive by insecurities in my own life. Like I want to be real and I want to be open with you guys because like my life has nothing to do with me. And it has nothing to do with what I did. Like everything has to do with Jesus like pursuing after me. And I say all of that to say like that's the same way he feels about all of you guys. Like there isn't a single person in this room that Jesus ever created without wanting a relationship with.
Wow.
Like, and I know that's kind of like a big statement. Like, and you guys all know, like, oh yeah, like, you know, like Jesus made me, like, you know, he knew me before I was even born. But like, have you guys ever really thought about that? Like before anything was created, like before he even created the earth, he already knew your name. Like he designed you with purpose. Like he knows you. Like that's a crazy thing. And like he never made anyone that he doesn't love with passion. Like the cross, like we talk about like Jesus died for you all the time, but like he had you on his mind the entire time. Like he knew you uniquely. He knew you personally. Like he actually cares about each one of you guys. Like he gave his own life for you specifically. Like it wasn't just like Jesus died to save the world. It was like Jesus died to save you. He didn't just die like to cover like all sins of all humanity. He died in your place. Because the wages of sin are death. Like what we do and what we choose to do with our lives, all of our flaws, that earns us hell. But Jesus literally took our place, so that's not something we have to go through anymore. Again, it's out of this like perfect love, like this like genuine, like passionate love. It's not just like him just being a figurehead, or just like because we couldn't have done it without him. It's like people lived for thousands of generations before Jesus died, and like their life, like they had no way to get back to God. It was just like this cycle of like they could do really good things and like try to maybe have a chance of righteousness, but they can never actually experience the love of Jesus because he hadn't come yet. And it's like now the reality that we're living in, we can actually walk into the fullness of the gospel. Like we actually get to experience the love of Jesus. Like he sacrificed himself for us. And that's not something that like I think we think about very often, like in that way, you know? Like so often like we're just like, I know in 7th grade, like all I was thinking about is like I'm walking down the hallway and like I don't want anyone to look at me weird, and like I just want to be good enough for my parents, and like what am I going to do in the future, and like I don't even know, like sometimes like I get good grades but I don't feel like it's enough, like I still don't know who I am, and it's like all that's the only thing running through my mind, you know. But it's like that was never how we were designed to be. And like the whole reason that I'm sharing with you guys like what I've experienced is because like I know that doesn't have to be what you guys do for the rest of your lives. Like it just doesn't have to be. Like I've experienced in my mind, I've seen that those are the thoughts that was going through my mind. Constant insecurity, constantly trying to find ways like I can be better, constantly just like trying to figure out like how like I can just impress other people, and now all of a sudden like my mind is just clear. And I know that at the end of the day, like, there's no one I have to impress. Like, I know that I am full of peace every day, and I'm not just saying that to you guys. Like, I wake up every morning, like, full of the peace of God.
That's right.
Like, not battling with insecurities anymore. I don't care what anyone else thinks about me because I know how Jesus has created me to be. Like, there actually is real freedom from insecurity, and you guys will just walk around thinking that it's normal for the rest of you, like, for the rest of your lives, just to keep battling with insecurity. You'll think that it's normal just to keep battling with your sin over and over and over again. But actually, the gospel is that Jesus died so that you can be free. Like that's crazy. Like, you guys don't have to do that for the rest of your lives. Like, there's real freedom in Jesus. Like, actually. And the world will try to tell you that it's normal, but it never has been. Like, that's not how you were designed to be. You were designed for communion with Jesus.
Right.
Like, in the very beginning of the story, like, when God created Adam and Eve, they were created to be with God. Yeah. And that's always been, like, what God was after. Like, he always just wanted to be with us. That's the reason Jesus came down from earth, is so we can be with God again. That's always been the whole story. That's always been what he's after. And, like, we're settled just with, like, a half-hearted gospel. And just half-hearted, like, maybe I'll go to church on Sundays, but, like, I'll never actually get to experience what it feels like to walk with God. And, like, that's just what we settle with all the time. But that's never been what it's about. It's always been about you waking up every morning and getting to experience the presence of God. And then walk with him in real freedom and be able to share that with other people. You know, like, the whole reason, like, I feel like so many of us, like, have never, like, even talked to someone else about Jesus is because, like, we haven't even experienced him for ourselves, really. You know, like, I could stand up here and tell you guys, like, oh, like, you know, you should tell all of your friends about Jesus that don't know about him. Like, if you know your friends aren't going to church, like, you should go and tell them to do that. Like, and that is right. But if that's not something that's coming out of you naturally, that means that there's more of Jesus that you need to find.
That's right.
Like, he loves you guys, and it's not just, like, this head knowledge thing. It's something that he desires to pierce your heart with. Like, there's this story in the book of John. It's right after Jesus had died and was resurrected, and then he comes back to see his disciples. And do all of you guys know the story of how Jesus met Peter? It's like they were fishing out on the sea. They hadn't caught anything at night, and then Jesus comes and he tells them, like, to throw their fish, like, throw the nets, like, on the other side. And they're like, oh, like, why would we do that? Like, you know, we've been fishing all night. Like, you think we're stupid or something. And then Jesus is like, no, like, throw your net on the other side. And then, like, they catch more fish that, like, you know, their boat, like, starts to sink and it, like, is going overboard because they caught so many fish. Do all of you guys know that story? Okay. Yeah, maybe it's okay if you guys didn't. But if you didn't know that, that's how Jesus met Peter for the very first time. And Peter is one of Jesus' disciples that, like, came alongside him and, like, watched him, like, the 3 years Jesus was on earth. Peter was, like, right next to him. He was really, really good friends with Jesus. And do all of you guys know the story of how Peter denied Jesus, like, 3 times before Jesus was crucified? Okay, if you guys haven't heard that story, Peter and Jesus are having this conversation before Jesus is crucified. And he's like, Peter, like, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter's like, no, like, why would I ever do that? Like, I love you. Like, why would I ever deny you? And then, like, long story short, Peter denies Jesus 3 separate times, like, as he's going through the process of crucifixion. And then, fast forward, after Jesus has died for our sins, has been resurrected, and is coming back to see his disciples, there's a story in John chapter 21 where Peter goes exactly back to what he was doing in his old ways. He had met Jesus, had gone on, like, this crazy long adventure with Jesus, and then after Jesus had died, Peter went back to exactly what he was doing before he met him. He went exactly back, like, oh, like, Jesus is gone now, like, I guess I'll just be a fisherman again. I guess I'll go catch fish. And so him and his friends, they all go out all night and they go catch fish. And just like the story when Peter first met Jesus, they've been catching fish all night and they don't catch anything. And then Jesus is up on the shore and he calls out to them, like, you know, like, the same way that he did when he first met them. And Peter comes back to shore, and, like, in this time, like, I think what most people would expect to see from Jesus would be, like, Jesus to be super condemning. To be like, Peter, like, why did you deny me? Like, Peter, like, why are you doing exactly what you were doing before you even met me? Like, did our relationship mean nothing to you? Like, that's what we would expect to see from Jesus. Is, like, this, like, righteous anger. But instead, like, Jesus is just sitting on the beach cooking breakfast for Peter. Like, it's so, like, outside of, like, our realm of thinking about God. Like, he's just like, I know you have messed up even after you professed to be a Christian. Even after you committed to follow me, I know you messed up. And you went exactly back to what you were doing before you ever knew me. But, like, that doesn't change the way that I feel about you. My mercy isn't limited by that. He's just, like, sitting there cooking breakfast. Like, I don't even care, like, that you just messed up. Like, I just want to be with you. And then after this moment, like, the same way Peter had denied Jesus 3 times, Jesus asks, like, Simon Peter, do you love me? And Peter's like, yes. And he's like, Simon Peter, do you love me? And he's like, yes. Simon Peter, do you love me? And he says, yes, all 3 times, redeeming all the 3 times that he denied him. Amen. And the crazy thing is there's only 2 points in the Bible when a charcoal fire is mentioned. The first one is when Peter is denying Jesus for the last time. It says he was looking into a charcoal fire, and someone asks him, Peter, like, don't you know Jesus? And he says, no. And he makes eye contact with Jesus as he says no, and immediately, like, he's just, like, full of shame because he understands the way that he had messed up. That's the first time in the Bible charcoal is ever mentioned. The only other time it's mentioned is in the story I just told you guys about. When Jesus is cooking breakfast on the beach for Peter, they're looking into a charcoal fire, and he asks, Simon Peter, do you love me? Simon Peter, do you love me? Simon Peter, do you love me? Redeeming all 3 of the times he had messed up. And I know that's kind of a random story for what I was sharing with you guys today, but I want you guys to understand, like, that's the Jesus that I know. Amen. Like, I don't know a Jesus that's afraid of our failures, and I don't know a Jesus who thinks anything that you did was too far, and I don't know a Jesus that gives up on us just because we make a mistake. Like, he actually desires to redeem every part of our lives, like, all of it. And he does it with a smile, and he doesn't, like, withhold, like, any sort of forgiveness. He's not like, oh, like, I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget. He's like, no, like, I will forgive you, and I will, like, throw everything that you did into the sea of forgetfulness. Like, it's no more. Like, you are completely restored. And if that's not something that you guys have experienced yet, like, that's something that I really want you guys to experience. Like, not for myself, not because I want to be like, oh, like, you know, I spoke at, like, this youth group and, like, a bunch of people, like, you know, gave their life to Jesus. It's like, this is something that I've experienced, like, with my whole heart. And, like, the reason that I do what I do, like, I have committed the rest of my life to go tell Muslims about Jesus. Yeah. Because, like, I wake up every day and I'm like, I can't believe people haven't heard the gospel yet. Like, what I've experienced is so good that I'm, like, I want to give my life to this forever. Like, indefinitely. Not because I'm getting anything back from it. Not because it's a cool thing to say, like, actually, like, you know, I spent the past year, like, without any hot water, like, you know, no control over what I'm eating, sleeping only a couple hours a night, no internet service, in the middle of the jungle, sweating, can't do my laundry, there's no ice, there's no refrigerators, like, nothing. And, like, that's not something to boast about, but it's like, but this is, like, the cost that I'm committing to my life to be, like, for forever. This isn't just, like, I want to do this for the season of my life. I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because I get to experience, like, I get to go to a tribal village and start talking to people about Jesus that have never heard him before and see them actually encounter his love. Like, that's what I'm talking to you guys about. Like, the reason I'm here right now instead of doing anything else is because, like, this love is real. Like, this love is so real, and I don't want you guys to feel like it's out of reach for you guys just because you're 12 or 13 years old. Like, he loves you. He loves you, and it's so tangible, and I know you guys have heard that 1,000 times. And I know some of you guys might just, like, walk out of this building and, like, never think about it really ever again, you know, until, like, maybe you go to church next week. But, like, I don't want this to be a conversation that you guys just forget when you walk out. Like, even if it's not right now, if it's a couple years later, and you just think about, like, what was that girl talking about that? When she was telling me, like, oh, like, Jesus is real. Like, I want you guys to know that it's completely in reach for you. Like, you guys, you don't have to get older to be able to experience this. You don't have to, like, get better before you can come to God. You don't have to, like, try to clean yourself up before you can go to Jesus. Like, you can actually experience him anytime, anywhere, like, without ending. And, like, experience something good enough to give your life to. You know, like, in the Bible, like, every time you see one of Jesus' disciples, like, they give their entire lives to him. Like, it's not just the thing, like, in our culture, like, maybe we give our life to Jesus, but then nothing really changes with us. Like, maybe we get baptized, and maybe we try to stop gossiping, but we never, like, actually do it. Like, maybe, like, you know, we go to church every week, but, like, you know, nothing really changes. Like, that's not what the Bible tells us. Like every time we see anyone encounter Jesus, their entire life follows it. Like actually, this is kind of like a crazy thing to talk about, but all the people, all the apostles, everyone that was an eyewitness of Jesus, literally gave their lives to him. Like John, the apostle, was the only one that wasn't literally killed for his faith. And like the whole reason I'm saying that to you guys is to understand like the love of Jesus that I'm actually talking about is something worth giving your life to. Like what we've been settling for in church like our entire lives, like just like a little bit of God, like that's not what he died for. Like, and there's no shame of any of that. Like if you guys like if that's what you're struggling with, like that's okay. But I just want you guys to know that there's so much more. So